Well, hey everyone, this is Jack and welcome to your free video. Okay, so not a dull moment at all in this market. There is a lot to be said for what happened today. I will try to sum it up as quick as possible, but I also want to be thorough. So on the left-hand side, you have the NASDAQ below the hourly 50. Of course, you have some other moving averages that were below. Let's take a look at the daily here, and you can see that all red 10x bars, of course, it's one of my favorite indicators here. And then on the right hand side, you have the S&Ps on a daily time frame, and then these voodoo lines here are showing us where the higher probability move would go and what that would mean for the S&Ps and obviously the general market. Of course, the NASDAQ's can act differently, obviously, and this market is crazy. Really wild swings in the NASDAQ. Now the S&Ps now could actually retest. We came right back down to 32.35. We're right at the 100 SMA. Here's the hourly. And you can see that we are still under the hourly 50. And that's just one time frame that I'll use, and I'll go, well, how does this look as far as, looking back about 20 days if we zoom out just a little bit more. And you can see that we have consistently rolled over, even if it just took a couple days, lower lows and lower highs below this magenta line. So if we change the NASDAQ to the hourly and zoom out just a little bit more, obviously you're going to be breaking through that hourly 50 a lot more because the NASDAQ is just, really, really nuts. So I don't know how else to describe it except for this market can be really, really fun to trade in, and trading should be fun first and foremost, I believe. But the way that you can have the most fun, I believe, is just watch your position size. And if you're a new trader, this is a great market to sit back and learn from and watch and see, the divergence in correlations or correlations coming back to life. I mean, even though it's more like, well, equities and bonds, that's, go figure, that's been a giant mystery. Of course, you have gold and silver rolling over. And then you have Powell, talking about interest rates, seems like every other week. And then we have a day later reaction via the NASDAQ or whatever. So quiet on those Powell announcements. And then the next day we've recently been tending to sell off a little bit. So just kind of keeping things in perspective. I don't think it's a bad idea to have some SPX bearish hedges or NDX bearish hedges. That's going to be my main focus starting Monday. And, I want to continue to play the market long, especially in momentum stocks. We've seen this over and over again where we're pulling back, and then you have things like Zoom and NVIDIA and even Lulu, and some of the cloud names have actually had some explosive moves to the upside after having a pretty, if you were already in it, it was pretty big pullbacks there. But overall, I'm just paying attention to things like Apple and where are we with the 50, the hourly 50? Where are we with Microsoft? And Microsoft has been a consistent climber since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And here we are now once again right below the hourly 50. And that's a pretty large time frame, compressing it into hourly bars here. And not only are we below the 100 hourly on both of these, but we haven't made any higher highs. We're just continuing to do the lower high and lower low. And so the strategies that I like here, and this is what I'll summarize with, is the unbalanced fly. And so if you wanted to do something like that, I already have one prepped here, and this would be an NVIDIA where you're selling on the outside one contract and then two on the outside. And you can see this right down here. And then of course you're buying three in the middle. And then it says, like if we were to do the let's see. Let's analyze this for you real quick. So we could do this, and then we have, let's go ahead and restart it real quick. Boom, boom, unbalanced, butterfly, and we'll we'll try, 200, and we could go, let's just for example's sake, let's do the 210 and 205, taking in a 357 credit. And then we can analyze this trade like so. And then what we want is this to actually pin as best as possible to the middle strike or the body of the underlying here. So here's Microsoft. You've got the unbalanced fly. Fantastic if it's in the middle of the body, but also you can play the volatility. So I'll be looking at things that are beneficial strategies in high volatile markets. So if you're not just putting yourself out there and buying Delta 70 calls on momentum stocks, I really just want to be focusing on hedges or super wide butterflies or the unbalanced fly. So I hope that's helpful. I do think that we might rally into Friday afternoon to finish out the week. I think what we've been kind of witnessing is large funds emptying large positions, and that has also taken a toll on the NASDAQ, of course. And we'll just continue to see how this plays out. What we've seen the previous week was high volume in all those stocks that I was talking about. And some of my favorite picks are things like Pinterest and Twitter, where you still have a decent setup. Pins has had a nice little pullback down to the hourly 50, where you could possibly get a bounce here. If it goes lower than that, then we're just filling up the gap from 36. Twitter on the hourly chart here, you can also take a look at something that is retesting lower lows, but it's already made the gap fill and it's already down to the hourly 50. I'm sorry, that's the hourly 34. The hourly 50 is right down here to the tree line. So two of these that could be awesome for a buy on a little bit more of a pullback. Not so much Pinterest, but definitely Twitter. Then, of course, NVIDIA is probably going to be my number one unbalanced fly candidate because this range is very, very wide. You've had some really huge swings ever since earnings, and we've already filled the gap. And right now, we're floating above this tree line. So I look at this stuff, and I'm like, well, here we are. We're forming a little bit of a wedge here. We've already made a nice little base here, and we have good volume for weeks, for months. And I think this is a nice little spot to engage with the markets bullishly until there is a clear sign that, hey, hedges were a great idea. Let's look for bearish setups and let's see where the bottom of the floor is. And we shall see how it goes. But yeah, if I'm shorting anything, it's the indexes. But I'm long anything, it's high beta momentum stocks. Things like DraftKings, right? Things like NET or FSLY or anything that really has some nice pops on good volume. And we'll see how the cookie crumbles. All right, y'all. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next update.